All right, day two. Welcome to your exercises. Our first exercise is identifying longings and fear. So, this exercise is about tapping into the deeper emotions that we often don't express. We all have emotional longings, things we wish our partner would do or say to make us feel loved and connected. But we also have fears, things we're afraid of, like rejection or abandonment that can keep us from being open. And the really funny thing about our deepest fears and longings in relationship is they're flip sides of the same coin. The thing that I long for the most is also the thing that I'm most afraid if I don't get it, what that means about our relationship or me.
See, for me, it just feels scary to know that both of those are true. The thing that I want the most is the thing that is the hardest for me to give up, to risk with.
Yeah.
It's difficult. Yeah. Okay. So, this is what we want you to do. Take a moment and write down two emotional longings you have, and then two fears that you have. Your longings might be things like, I want to feel appreciated, or I want to feel like I am enough for you. And your fears could be something like, I'm afraid you'll leave if I open up, or I'm scared you won't love me if you really knew who I really was.
So if you notice, these are some pretty deep fears. And if this is a place that you haven't really been to before, it's okay. Just start with where you are and just see if you can take a minute just to be as clear and as honest and as open as you can about where you are. Now, this is a place that those blocks could potentially come up. And this is what we're going for. A block is going to be connected to the fear that you've got around a longing that you have. And so the best way to get to your blocks is to go directly for your longings and your fear. So Chris and I are going to demo this a little bit for you, and then it's going to be your turn.
Cool.
All right. So Chris and I are going to demo about the longings and the fears. And would this be a good time for you? I always like to ask that question before we have one of these conversations. And I just recommend it for you. It's just,
Cool.
an easier place for you to say yes or no to this before you get into vulnerability. You don't want to like surprise vulnerably share something
Yeah.
with someone. You need to make sure that they're in a place to receive that vulnerable reach that you've got. We want to make sure that you can do this risk with as much safety on the front end as possible for you.
And so I wanted to say this also. Remember, we're trying to do this in an order. So there was a reason why we talked about accessibility, responsiveness, and emotional engagement yesterday, because being vulnerable puts us at risk here. And so we want to make sure that we're really taking care of each other right now. So while your partner is talking, feel free to use that ARE as much as you can so they feel validated, so they would even want to risk that much more. Because I know that when Terry validates me, it keeps me open instead of then if I felt criticized, it would want to shut me down.
Right.
So again, let's be open as we do all these.
Yeah. This isn't a place that we're correcting or trying to change
Yeah.
anything. And like Chris always says, this isn't about fixing anything. Just listen to each other with an open heart. And the goal is really just to understand the other's deeper emotional longing and their fear and to just be with them in it. It's an opportunity to just really get to know your partner in a
Yeah.
better way.
Cool.
Well, I really appreciate that this is a good time for you. And I'm happy to go first if that would be
Please.
all right with you. So for me, one of the things that I really long for the most is to have reassurance in our relationship. So sometimes there are these moments like I know that we've been together as long as we have, that I still kind of get a little insecure. Like maybe I've been out of town for a trip or we just have been busy with work stuff and it's been a minute since we've been able just to kind of like look at each other
Mm.
and connect, or something's happened and I get a little bit shaken. Sometimes it's really helpful for me to be able to reach to you and just to ask you for reassurance too. It really helps me know I'm okay and that we're okay and that I'm safe and whatever risks I've taken, that I can come back here and know that I can get comfort and support from you. So that's a longing
Thank you. Thank
that
you for sharing that. So what I'm hearing is you want reassurance when you put yourself out here like this, and I'm not going to leave you out there, or I'm not going to make you feel weird for doing it.
I have. Yeah, all of those
Okay,
things.
cool.
Well, and so the flip side of that then would be it's really scary that if I were to ask you for that, that either you'd be busy and wouldn't be able to, and I would be kind of waiting or alone, or that you would think it was silly. Because sometimes I even think that some of the longings I have, they seem so simple or they feel like a younger, more innocent, like
Yeah.
the inner child sort of part of me. And so it feels really it feels risky to even ask you for that. So that brings up fear, even just in letting you know that that's what I would love. Cause it's like, I guess I feel like then I have to depend on you
Yeah.
too,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so it's scary.
Well, that kind of leads a bit to my longing as well, but I
Okay.
wanted to say that I appreciate you sharing your fear before I went into mine.
Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Do you feel heard?
Do.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Uh, my longing is that I want to feel competent
Yeah.
in front of you. Like I really value you looking at me and going like, I respect my guy, my husband. I really appreciate him because my fear is that I'm not enough. And so if I put myself out there, my fear is that if you call me out on not being enough,
Yeah.
then I'm going to want to retreat because I'm like, "Oh, I already felt that way. And now she's saying it. So it must be true. So my longing is that I want to be competent in your eyes, and because of that, it brings up the fear that I'm not enough.
Oh man, thank you so much for sharing that with me too.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. That does sound really scary. And I know how
Thank you.
much that matters to you, that I would see you as honorable and competent and that I can count on you too. And I do.
Mm.
Thank you.
See what we're doing? Like, I feel closer to her even just practicing this exercise to show to you
Yeah.
guys. So, again, it is a little bit it's not a regular pattern of communication, but it is nice practice because I love hearing that she likes me. I love hearing that she wants to be my friend. And so to hear that again, even in kind of the cheesy way that you're doing the exercise, it reinforces that. So go for it. Really try for it. Even if it feels cheesy, even if it's hard to say, again, these aren't normal conversations for most people, but we don't want you to be normal. We want you to be excellent. We want you to be a power couple. And that's what we're going for. So really go into this, really believe in it, and dive in with all of your heart.
You got this. And as always, if you need any support, have any questions, head over to the group and post it in the community chat. We'll be right there.
Cool. Okay, so now we have our second exercise where we want to access versus express. So in this exercise, we're going to take some practice in doing something that could be a real game changer in communication, accessing your emotions before you express them. It's easy to react quickly in the heat of the moment, but sometimes we need to slow down and ask ourselves, what am I really feeling? And again, if you remember me from yesterday, this is something that I deal with quite a bit because expressing emotions is not like speaking my natural language. It's like I am trying to translate in real time, even after all of these years of doing it. So it takes a lot of practice for me. So I just wanted to say, from a vulnerable spot, this is something that I have to work with all the time. And when I'm out of practice, we and she can especially recognize that when we're having our conflicts because I am not in a place where I'm expressing it. So then I start going to more of those places where I start saying, well, you oughta kind of thing. And so again, really practice this because this can lead to some big changes down the line.
So let me just validate a moment if this is new for you. It's new for a lot of us. It certainly was new for me
Mm,
before I became a therapist. And so I just want to share like a little bit of the neuroscience and about the way that we're all designed as human beings. So everyone comes into this earth with the ability to feel. We all are hardwired in with emotion. Emotion is just a signal that is somatic. It's in your body that's just trying to tell you to pay attention to something. It is neutral. So there's no really such thing as good or bad. It's all just information. It's just a signal. But throughout our lifetimes, depending on how much we were mirrored, that people were like saying, you're sad. That's what I cry when I'm sad, and helping you to name this emotional experience or to be with you in it, sometimes it can get confusing and we lose the ability to access, which is to tune into your own emotional world, because then we don't really know what's going on in there, or to express it like what Chris is talking about. So everyone comes with emotion in their nervous system. It's like an operating system when you buy a laptop that's already downloaded, you open it, it's already there. Accessing and expressing, though, are skills that we learn through relationship with others. And so we would love to be able to be that with you. So we are going to together with you practice what accessing and expressing is. So you've already got the emotion. You don't have to do anything with that. We're just going to observe and pay attention to how to go and get them and how to send them in a clear signal to your partner, which will feel good not just to your partner or partners, it's going to also feel good to you. So let's say you're upset because your partner didn't respond to you when you needed them. You sent a signal and there wasn't a response that really came back. Instead of saying something like, you never listened to me, try taking a breath, look inward, and access the deeper feeling. Maybe that anger makes a lot of sense because it's frustrating to reach and nobody to respond to. And that's legitimate, that
mm.
matters. And at the same time, what drove that anger? What am I mad about? Maybe underneath you feel scared or alone. And that matters too. So, anger is an okay emotion to express, but if I express anger at my partner and he's just told me that anger, his nervous system wants to move him away, his body says to go, chances are a more core emotion, a gentler, softer, less defended, less protected emotion might have a different sort of response. Loneliness, sadness, fear tend to bring our partner towards us rather than pushing them away. For instance, if I'm scared or alone, I might express it more like this: I feel a little scared right now, and I'm not getting a response from you. And it makes me feel in this moment like maybe I'm not important, but I just wanted to
Hmm.
check with you about that.
Gosh, you're so important to me. I'm so sorry that you feel scared.
See, it's happening right now. Right. And that's the response that we want. So if you think about it for a moment, if I were to share the anger, what I actually want is for my partner to come back close to me so that I'm not alone. I'm mad that I'm alone. I'm angry that I'm scared. The anger matters. It's just not going to do the thing I want it to do. And what I really want in that moment is to express a signal that will get me actually what I'm wanting in the moment.
All right, so now take a few minutes to go practice this. Think of a recent time when you felt hurt and then try to access the deeper emotion. Then express it to your partner by using I statements, okay? Like, I am feeling, I am going through this, I am experiencing dot, dot, dot. Okay?
Yeah,
All right.
that's really good. I like what you're saying here. So it's very easy to flip into like blame,
Yeah.
to
When you
say,
do, yeah.
yeah, you made me feel. That's not what we're talking about. That's not actually accessing. So we're going to take our eyes, our experience, our ears, all of that off of our partner. We're going to turn inward. So Chris and I are going to demonstrate this very simply with each other. And then you'll have a chance to go and practice it yourself too.
Sweet.
So I kind of did it a minute before, but I'm going to reset and do it again. So Chris, I know sometimes when we get into this disconnected place and I'm starting to feel hurt, I can show some angry places, but as I'm sitting with my experience, what I notice is it actually feels really scary to me. I'm not sure if we're going to be okay. I'm not really sure what's even happening in the moment. And I really need you in those moments to help me, maybe just even be with me. And it's just really, really scary to be alone in it when we're not okay.
Thank you for sharing with me. May be hard to do.
Yeah.
So thank you for being so vulnerable. It means a lot that you would risk with me, and I really appreciate that. But I don't want you to feel scared. I want to be here for you. And I'm sorry that you get to that place sometimes.
Thank you. Perfect. And then you'll switch and the other person gets to take a turn.
Cool. Sometimes in the heat of the moment, when I feel that I don't know what to do, I start to get really panicky because it seems like that our entire relationship is on the line. And I know we have a lot of history and a lot of good memories, but in those moments, it does feel like, is this it? Is this all going to go away? And so, because of that, what I'm feeling, I think mostly is fear.
Mm,
I'm scared
yeah.
that you're not going to love me anymore. Or if I'm vulnerable, that you're going to think that I'm too immature or I haven't gotten my stuff together. And it's tough.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense to me.
Mm,
Thank you for telling me.
thank you.
All right. It's y'all's turn. And as always, you've got the group for support. You can always ask us any questions that you've got about it. Thanks so much. Have a great exercise. We will see you for exercise 3. Exercise 3: forgiveness and acceptance. So, forgiveness and acceptance are key components of a healthy relationship. Goodness knows, after 24 years of marriage, we've had to do a lot of both of those. We all hold on to little hurts, sometimes without even realizing it. This exercise is about releasing those small things that might be lingering between you.
Okay, so what we want to do here is we don't want to go to the biggest thing you've ever experienced in your relationship. We want you to choose one small thing that you've been holding on to. Maybe it's something that your partner said or did that hurt you. So share it with them in a gentle way, and then practice offering forgiveness or acceptance if that's what's needed. It could sound like, when you forgot our anniversary, I felt hurt.
That feels
But
like a big one, doesn't
that
it?
does feel like a big one, yeah. Well, maybe okay, so when you forgot that we were gonna go have tacos and then you started planning for burgers instead, I didn't feel heard. And so I understand that you didn't mean to, but I felt really missed in that moment.
That's good. So, one of my favorite definitions of forgiveness actually comes from Pema Chodron. And she says forgiveness is really just about accepting that things happened exactly as they did and that people did what they did. It's just that, without the need to
Sounds
fix or
logical.
change. Yeah, anything. Because the truth is, we can't actually really change what happened in the past.
Hmm.
But here's what's different: maybe in the past we weren't able to be there for each other for any different reasons. Like it might not even be like a negative or a nefarious thing or even intentional. We might have accidentally missed something or accidentally unintentionally caused a bit of hurt or harm in the relationship. But here's a really beautiful thing. Even if it's unintentional, it's never too late for us to be able to revisit. And in the place where maybe I wasn't so accessible and responsive and emotionally engaged with you, now I have a chance to do that.
Mhm.
So this exercise is about getting to create a clean slate and making even more space for fresh connection.
Cool.
So Chris and I now are going to demonstrate what that might look like. So we're going to pull the same conversation we continue to work with through all of the exercise back to today. Is now a good time for us to be able to practice this?
Why, thank you for asking. I think it would be a good time. Yeah.
Great. All right. So the other morning when I came in and I interrupted you when you were working, the first time that I told you that I felt like something was a little bit off, it felt to me like you kind of dismissed things and I had to like go and prove. And I can feel it in my belly even right now when I'm talking about it. And it kind of felt to me like me saying it wasn't enough, that the data actually convinced you instead of me. And it just stung a little. Like
Yeah.
it's like maybe a 1 out of 10 or something, but still, like it's kind of still a little bit with me.
I'm sorry you felt dismissed.
Mm.
Now, you see, it's easier in those moments, just as an aside, when I am hearing from her, I felt a bit dot dot dot. It's easy for me to go, I'm so sorry that you felt that way. Instead of saying, when you did this, you
Yeah.
made me kind of thing. And then my response to that typically would be, oh yeah, well, when you do it, I feel like this other thing. And so it could turn into a whole side argument. Then you're not even really dealing with the thing that you're trying to talk about. So that's why we're using these I statements. We don't want to put any blame on this. We're just saying vulnerably, as is the topic for today, how this is affecting myself or how it's affecting me.
One of the ways you're going to know that it's vulnerable and a little less protected is it doesn't necessarily feel so easy to do it.
Oof.
So vulnerability doesn't just mean your voice is soft, it means it's revelatory. Vulnerability means I'm doing this without defense.
Mm,
I'm not protecting myself as I let you in. So I'm not doing a million disclaimers. I'm not first blaming or criticizing or trying to make myself feel safe. There is inherent risk in vulnerability. It doesn't always feel safe, but it is secure. Security is safety plus risk. And so right now, when we're talking about forgiveness, it's always risky. But did you hear Chris did a great job too of just accepting it and taking it in? And then what it feels like to me is it's easier to accept that if he's just with me in it. So now it's your turn. You get to go and you get to practice this exercise as well. If for some reason you don't have anything that needs to be forgiven or accepted, you can repeat the exercise that you had from yesterday and just talk a little bit more about accessing and expressing some of your emotion. But I'll tell you, odds are there will be at least something that bugs you because nobody is perfectly securely attached, no matter what your story is, no matter how safe and secure and able to risk you are with one another. So we'd really invite you to try and practice this exercise too. As always, if you get stuck or have any questions, join us in the group for conversation. You can always message us too.
okay. And please remember, make it a small example. Don't make it the biggest thing. Don't make it that missed anniversary or the miss the birth of our child kind of thing. Make it something small. All right. You got this.
Congratulations on finishing day 2 of the challenge in the Catalyst. We have a couple of key takeaways for today too. Chris, do you have anything that you want to share for
Yeah.
today?
Vulnerability is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. But it is just about showing up. And I want to encourage you, the fact that you are showing up and you are trying here, consider that a win. I want you to go off and celebrate that, okay? Because that right there, that vulnerability, that's where the true connection really happens.
That's right. When you open up, you give your partner the chance to truly see you. And that's how you build a lasting bond. Congratulations on finishing day 2. We will see you tomorrow for our final day of the challenge. And after that, you'll complete the entire couples catalyst. We
Sweet.
cannot wait to see you there.
Cool.